right, welcome kings and queens. Queen Shiba here. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, you know I hone in on the behavioral and the psychological traits of the Black experience. There has been something weighing deeply in my spirit, and I had to come here to share because I wanted to share this platform to see, am I alone in this? Or is there anyone else being triggered like I am? Before I start, just a friendly reminder, please click that like and subscribe button as I continue to build my audience and improve my content in this crazy world of YouTube. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, there's something that's been weighing in my spirit, and it's regarding Love and Marriage, Huntsville, on the OWN network. As a matter of fact, anything dealing with Love and Marriage Huntsville or Love and Marriage DC has really triggered my spirit. And I am starting to see this disturbing trend. And for me, it just doesn't sit well. I can't swallow it. Carlos King, you have managed, and people, you got to pay really close attention, okay? You can't get this to pick up what I'm saying from snippets. You've got to go back and watch the show. But Carlos King, you've managed to recruit a type of Black man whom are deeply wounded, and they are abusive in nature, via directly or indirectly. And I'm not talking about physical abuse. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm honing in on the psychological and the behavioral components of their engagements and or their interactions that we've seen play out on national television. Offender number 1, Martel Holt. Number 2, Jamie Tyler. Third one, Marceau Scott. Marceau Scott. Maurice Scott. Be it emotional, sexual innuendos, demanding sex every day from their wives in exchange for just being a normal, decent husband. That's abuse. Okay, but go back and watch the shows. The underlying theme I'm noticing is how delicately Carlos handles the men, but doesn't hesitate to exploit the pain on the women. In the first episode of Love and Marriage DC Reunion, Carlos King asked Arena Tyler, who's the wife of Jamie Tyler, if she was being abused by her husband, to which she replied no. Anyone, whether they're being abused or not abused, on national television, in front of the world. I don't know what question you're going to ask me. And if you pose a question, am I being abused? My response would be no too. And even though she said no, majority of America seems to think otherwise, just based on the interaction, the engagement, the physical demonstration that her husband has shown, right? On camera. When it comes to her. Why would you do that, Carlos? Why would you put her on the spot to have to deny in front of the world, which is now documented, right? In case she's really being abused. Now it's documented that she said no. And all of this is alleged. Why not discreetly have this conversation off camera and guarantee help if that is the case? Why would you put her on the spot to have to answer in front of the man that you're asking about? Which I'm not saying it's happening, right? I'm not implying that, but I'm just hypothetically. But if it were, why would you handle it so recklessly? We've watched Martel Holt abuse Melody Holt for the past 4 years, and he's been rewarded for it by the network. Had this happened on any other network, he would have been dismissed. There would be no do-over. There would be no Carlos King at night. There would be no other appearances, no other promos. He would have been cut because safety, integrity, and personal welfare supersedes entertainment on other networks. Carlos, I believe your personal vendetta with Bravo may have overshadowed your common sense to call a thing, in the words of Iyanla Vanzant. Let's call a thing. I believe you fraternizing with the cast has completely overshadowed your ability to make quick, sound decisions where you should enforce a no tolerance workplace that does not accept nor does it condone abuse. Part of my reason for starting my YouTube channel, if I have to be honest, was because of the personal outrage that I felt watching Martell's behavior play out on a supposedly family network started by Oprah Winfrey, and we all know what she stands for. And as I'm watching this man's behavior play out in exchange for ratings, I was flabbergasted. I had no words. And when I really thought about it, it disturbed me because I'm like, this is at the expense of a beautiful Black woman and the breakdown of a Black family, the breakdown of family dynamics. Then today, when I saw Melody's response to Martell's rant on Instagram, go back and watch my videos, catch up, which I'm sure she felt the need to share because the network, Carlos King, the Black network, refuses to step in. She can't hold the line for herself, but you're forcing her to. That's where you as her employer step in. And you have a little chitty chat with him behind the scenes. But let me pause. Let's take a look at this post by Melody. All right, so what are your thoughts? Drop them in the comments. Let's have a dialogue. I really want to hear what your thoughts are from start to finish when I opened up this platform to talk about what's disturbing me. But where you are with all of this. Now, when we look at Melody's post, first of all, the first thing that caught my attention is she says court hasn't even started. If you go back and look at the last video I posted regarding Martell's rant on Instagram, he said he's 2-0. He's 2-0 in court. She says court hasn't even started. Sir, whoa. You are off your rocker. You just told a bold-faced lie. The lady says court hasn't even started. And we all know that they couldn't allegedly get the first session off because you didn't bring your paperwork. Okay? That's what she said. Court hasn't even started. Second of all, she said she will not speak on anything that would harm her kids. And no one will stop her from protecting her kids mentally, physically, and emotionally. Martell, the lady, never, ever disclosed any custody details. All she shared was that you took her to court. She thought y'all were in a good place. You took her to court to file for full custody of the kids. She never said why. She never disclosed anything. You disclosed that it's alleged that you put your hands on your son. Now, here's the thing. And you said that she didn't call you to ask you why. I wouldn't call you to ask you a goddamn thing. If my kid came home from a shared custody visit, and if my kid were bleeding and had a knot or two or bruises on his body, I ain't calling you for shit. I'm calling the right people. Because you didn't call me when you touched him, if you touched him, allegedly, right? So I'm not calling you for anything, sir. Why would I call you? You're known to lie, Mr. 2-0 in court that hasn't started. Okay? So you're full of it. Then she goes on to say, even when asked by the network, I will not discuss anything that will be harmful to my kids. This is unbelievable, folks. This is unbelievable. Now I understand why there hasn't been any steps of discipline for Martell. Because the network is willing to sacrifice those innocent kids to build up one man's wealth and legacy. And that would be yours, Carlos King. That would be you. In exchange for your success, you're willing to put kids on the line. Since when did we stoop to a level where we are willing to exploit children? We don't do that in our community. It's unacceptable. It's taboo. It should have never been an ask. As a matter of fact, there should be a written clause from the network that children under 18 are off limits for any questionable inserts which could potentially pose psychological harm to them down the road. If it's not positive, if it's not informative, if it's not educational, the network should have parameters and policies in place. Why would you even ask for this to be a potential storyline? She drew the line. She told you no. That should be understood. That should be a network policy and procedure. Why would you even ask that lady to talk about a child custody case where it's alleged that her child may have been hit too hard by his father? That little kid still has to go to school. That little kid can read and write. His friends can read and write. And although his parents may not let him watch the show, it doesn't mean that his classmates aren't watching the show. Carlos, you're losing sight of what's important. And that's building, lifting, and empowering the Black community to thrive. It's taking a completely different turn than what you presented to us a few years ago. It wasn't until Martell, and I'm going to keep it real, y'all. I just said, we've watched Martell Holt abuse Melody Holt for the past 4 years. But it wasn't until recently when he insulted a gay Black man that a petition started, right? No one should be insulted. No one should be abused. No one should be tormented, taunted, teased, or subjected to any type of toxic behavior. Why is he allowed to abuse a woman, but we draw the line when he comes after a man? Keep that same energy across the board. It should be off limits. There should be boundaries in place. There should be hard lines in place for everyone. Carlos, you've got to step up and make some decisions. The first step is getting rid of Martell Holt. He's not going to stop, Carlos, because you rewarded the behavior initially. It's going to be very hard for you to come in and say stop because you rewarded it. The firing won't be able to come from you, Carlos, because he's a wild card and he's probably going to try to turn around and sue you. There should be someone above you. People shouldn't have access to you the way that they do. When your cast is being reprimanded, Carlos, the phone calls shouldn't come from you. They shouldn't come from you. My CEO doesn't call me when I mess up. Okay? You need to establish some type of hierarchy, some type of chain of command. You need to tell that man that you're headed, not you, whoever you send, right? Tell him you're headed in a different direction and it's no longer a fit. Cut the cord before things get real and you ruin your reputation for your willingness to cannibalize the Black experience as your personal come up.